Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ha, Racha, Kodash, Ma'amath. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders. Double honors to my elder, Aharawan Ban Yasharala of the Lions Den Camp, here in Jacksonville, Florida. Salutations to the sincere Aki and pushing this truth and sincerity around the four corners of this earth. I'm Nakar Harab Ban Yasharala coming out of the Lions Den Camp of Yasharala here in Jacksonville, Florida. And today I'll be coming out a lesson, and it's a land back off the brother Athanyala of this camp. You know, when he went into the Shaka Almost dude that was still caught up on the Egyptology, and he was talking about various books and what to read. When you don't understand, it is so many books on Egyptology and Pan-Africanism that it's a shame, for lack of a better term. But without further ado, I'm gonna get right into it. This is Ecclesiastes Chapter 12. I'm gonna start at verse 11. It says, "The words of the wise are as golds and as nails fastened by the masters of a simile, which are given from one shepherd." So the words of the wise are just like, we'll say, like boards nailed together or hammered together and or screwed together by the masters of a simile, i.e. the teachers, your elders, which is given from one shepherd, which is Yahweh Shai. Because the spirit, it comes down. You know what I'm saying? The knowledge comes from above, and then it comes down to us so that we can break down the scriptures as the Lord has given us our gift too. So the words of the wise are very beneficial. The words of the wise are solid. You can trust those words, because why are they coming from the shepherd, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Verse 12, "And further by these, my son, be admonished, of making many books there is no end. Much study is a weariness of the flesh. So, and further by these, be admonished, be corrected, that the making of many, but that's like it, the making many books there is no end." And you have literal thousands of books on Pan-Africanism, on Egyptology, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And guess what? It's always a man writing a new book to explain something that he may have read in a previous book. So the making of many books is no end. All these other nations, they making all these books and various things and talking about Egyptology and Pan-Africanism. Ain't no end to it. Because why? Because every time a book come out, they're gonna make another book, and 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 it's just no end. And it says, "Much study is a weariness of the flesh." You start to study this stuff, you know, eventually it starts to weigh on you. It's good to read some secular stuff here and there, to learn to make it correlate, or to try or to tie it in, you know, with the scriptures if you're explaining a specific point in the scriptures. But for the most part, these many books, there is no end to them. There is not going to be an end to Pan-Africanism, the books of Pan-Africanism and or Egyptology, and the books of the Moors and all that stuff like that. There is no end to those books. Why? Because men write those books. But when it comes down to the scriptures of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, you only need one, which is the Bible. The Old Testament, the Apocrypha, and the New Testament, or the Tanakh, the Torah, and the Apocrypha. But let's continue. Let's jump over to chapter 10 of Ecclesiastes, because you know when these dudes call themselves breaking down what they think they believe in or what they think they know, they have to go to extreme lengths to get their point across. And this is the reason why. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 10. "If the iron be blunt, and he do not whet the edge, then must he put to more strength, but wisdom is profitable to direct." So if the iron be blunt, let's say if your mind be blunt, and you can also correlate this to a physical blade. If the iron be blunt and you don't whet the edge, meaning you don't sharpen up yourself when it comes down to it, you're going to have to put forth more effort. Or if you don't sharpen that sword, you're going to have to swing with that much more power in order for it to cut. You're going to have to use more strength. And that's the same thing with these guys that's caught up in all these various beliefs, philosophies, and doctrines. Because their iron is blunt. So when they try to explain something to somebody and somebody has a differences of opinion, they have to swing, or they have to put more power into what they're talking about, because it's not hitting or cutting like it's supposed to. Or they have to put more thought into what they're saying, because why? Their mind, their sword, we'll say their sword, their mind, their heart is not sharp enough to cut and to get their point across. But wisdom of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua is profitable to direct. The wisdom of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua is very profitable. It's good, because it directs you and it shows you the right way to go. Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Bear with me real quick. Here we go. This is chapter 2, verse 15. It says, study to show thyself approved unto Yahweh, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So you must study. When it comes down to the words of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua, you got to study to show yourself approved in the eyes of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua. Because you studying Pan-Africanism or Egyptology, that ain't conducive to the scriptures. It's not conducive to the truth. The Lord says, study to show yourself approved, and you study his scriptures to show yourself approved in his eyes, so that you could be that workman that's not ashamed to bring forth this gospel, bring forth this truth, and you rightly divide the truth, meaning you tell the truth the right way. Pan-Africanism and Egyptology is not the right way. That's in the category of many books and false doctrines and beliefs. Verse 16, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. So you're supposed to shun profane and vain babblings. Talking about Egyptology and Pan-Africanism is vain babbling. It does not benefit our people. Where have our people gotten to, or how far have they gotten believing that they were Egyptians, believing in Pan-Africanism? Where have they gotten them? And it has not gotten them any closer to Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua. It has not gotten them any spiritual liberation. Hell, any physical liberation. So the making of many books, there is no end. It is not profitable. It's profitable to read it, but don't study it, because it'll become a weariness of the flesh. It'll start to weigh on you heavy. Now, you can study the words of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua all day, but you got to be careful with that too, because like the brother Mazan said years ago, you can call yourself studying, you can study yourself right on up out this truth. How? Coming up with your own doctrines, coming up with your own beliefs of what you think the scriptures mean. Study to show yourself approved unto Yahweh, and you rightly divide the word of truth. It says what? In Proverbs, I think, hast thou found honey? Eat what is sufficient for thee, unless thou vomit it up. Let's continue. Let's go to Sirach chapter 5. Verse 2. This is Sirach chapter 5, verse 2. It says, follow not thine own mind and thy strength to walk in the ways of thy heart. So you don't follow your own mind and your own strength to walk in the ways of your heart. And that's what 2/3 of our people are doing. And like the brother Thanyala did with did the video with the Shaka Amos dude, he's following his own mind. He's walking in his own strength in the ways of his own heart. Because the Lord got him in a delusion, thinking that he's Egyptian. And dabbling in Pan-Africanism. But you're not supposed to follow your own mind and walk in the ways of your own strength, of your heart. That's just like that goes back to Proverbs. Lean not to your own understanding. You're supposed to go according to Yahweh Bahasham Yahushua. So again, Sirach chapter 5 verse 2. Follow not thine own mind and thy strength to walk in the ways of thy heart. Walk in the ways of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, because when you start following your own mind, you start getting caught up in Pan-Africanism. You start getting caught up on Egyptology. And the thing about Egyptology, they got Egyptology, but they don't have no Russiaology. They don't have no Chinese-tology. They don't have no Japanese-tology. They don't have no Edomiteology. They don't have none of these tologies, but they got Egyptology. They don't have no Russiaology. None of that. That's just a trap for our people to get caught up. And in that, it's causing them to walk in their own mind. And the Lord has seared their understanding, their hearts, with the hot iron. So they stuck in the position that they in. And the Lord is also, on top of that, doubled down with a strong delusion so that they will believe lies, so that they'll believe in Pan-Africanism and Egyptology. But you're not supposed to follow your own mind and the strength to walk in the ways of your heart. You're supposed to walk according to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Sirach chapter 8, verse 17. It says, consult not with a fool, for he cannot keep counsel. So you never ever supposed to talk with a fool. When you listen to somebody and you find out that their lips you perceive within them, the lips of understanding is not in them, you go on about your business. You stop talking to them. So consult not with a fool, for you cannot keep counsel. And all these house of conscious communities, dudes, cats, whatever they want to call themselves, Egyptologists, Pan-Africanism, schisms, they're fools and they cannot keep counsel. So there is no reason for you to talk to them. Because when you start, if you're walking according to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, you start to bring out the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Well, when you speak in the ears of a fool, he's going to despise that wisdom. Why? Because consult not with the fool, for he cannot keep counsel. He cannot keep counsel. A fool is not going to stay according to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. A fool is not going to sit down and think critically. The whole council, meaning sit down with other members and discuss things intelligently. Because why? Because a fool cannot keep counsel. Sirach 19. I'm past. 19. I'm going to start at verse 11. It says, a fool travaileth with a word as a woman in labor of a child. So a fool travaileth with a word like a woman that's having birth pains, that's about to give birth. And the video that the brother Athanyala did on the Shaka Amos, I forget the other guy that was interviewing him, but he was just asking him simple questions. And the Shaka Amos dude, he was basically doubling back on what he was saying. He would say one thing, and then when the dude would rebuttal or ask a question, he would double back on what he said. Basically, like he's like basically agreeing and then disagreeing with himself at the same time. That's a double-minded man, and that's instability. So again, a fool will travail with a word as a woman in labor of a child. So somebody that's foolish, don't have any understanding, and somebody with any bit of intelligence or intellect ask a question, they're going to travail, meaning they're going to fight with it. They're going to wrestle with what is being asked, and ultimately they'll just nullify everything that they just said. Because why? Because a fool travaileth with the word. You can ask a simple question and you'll cross them up, you'll throw them off, just like what was happening with that guy, the Shaka Amos dude. Let's hit verse 12. As an arrow that sticketh in a man's thigh, so is a word within a fool's belly. So as an arrow that sticketh in a man's thigh, arrow is shot, it hit a man, it sticks in his thigh. Same thing with a fool. It's going to stick in him and it's going to do damage to him. It's going to hurt him. It's not going to benefit him none. Let's jump over to verse 22. It says, the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudent. So the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. Egyptology is not wisdom. Pan-Africanism is not wisdom. Being part of the house of consciousness is not wisdom. Because why? That is knowledge of wickedness, and that's not wisdom. And it's not at any time nor any place beneficial. And the counsel of sinners is not prudence. And when they come together and they're talking heads and they come together, well, that's just a counsel of sin, of sinners. And guess what? That's not prudence. That's not wisdom. That's not wise, because they're going to increase unto more ungodliness. That's all they're going to do. Last point, Sirach chapter 20 verse 8. He that useth many words shall be abhorred, and he that taketh to himself Salakia, authority therein shall be hated. So guess what? A fool that useth many words is abhorred. You have all these supposed we'll say scholarly or scholars, guys that went to school or whatever, especially among their community. They always try to use these big words and try to sound all intelligent and well spoken. Well, it says, he that useth many words shall be abhorred. To abhor something means to hate or despise or to dislike it. And it says, and he that taketh to himself authority therein shall be hated. And a lot of these guys who caught up in the Pan-Africanism and the Egyptology and the House of Consciousness and all that stuff, they take to themselves authority, and guess what? They're hated. It ain't because they're so magnificent and or so elevated in whatever they in that nobody don't like them. No, they're hated because they talk too damn much, and they take authority unto themselves that was not presented or put on them by someone else in authority. So they're hated, and they talk too much, and that also makes them hated. Last point. Verse 13, a wise man by his words maketh himself beloved, but the graces of fools shall be poured out. Say, a wise man maketh himself beloved by what? His words. That's how he maketh himself beloved. Meaning a wise man that is wise and you can get good advice from him, people are going to have respect for that man or that person. But the graces of fools is going to be poured out. A foolish person or foolish people, the graces are going to be poured out. You're going to see the foolishness. You ain't gonna have no benefit from them. You ain't gonna get no benefit. So again, the making of many books and these guys that are caught up in that supposed community, all they do is just read books, never ever ending books. Never ending books ever. They don't end. They just keep, this book says this, well this book says this, and this book and this book. The making of many books is there is no end to it. But let me see. I'll read verse 7. It says, a wise man will hold his tongue till he see opportunity, but a babbler and a fool will regard no time. So a wise man is going to hold his tongue and he's going to wait till he can speak. But a babbler and a fool, they don't regard any time. They're just going to just keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. Trying to sound good, trying to sound right, which leads you into verse 8. He that useth many words shall be abhorred, and he that taketh to himself authority shall be hated. Shalom.